Good Monday afternoon, YouTubers and lovers of comic books. It's time for June's comics review. It was a very scattered month, a little bit of everything. Not a ton of one individual franchise, but just a couple here and there, which added up to a nice little handful for the month. So, first up, issue 19, Avoid Rivals. Now, I remember last time we were talking, I'm thinking, maybe this will last 2 more issues, maybe end on number 20. I don't think it's going to do that. This one took a total detour from the main storyline that's been going on. So I don't remember if it was the last issue or the issue before that, but you'll remember the Cobra forces, like the true Cobra, like Cobra la 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 la, attacked Skuxoid, the pig rock man that factored into the Transformers universe here and there, and killed a whole bunch of them. So basically the Junkions, if you don't know the Junkions, they are a race of Transformers that live on the planet Junkion, which is just basically a huge junkyard. They're always tinkering with, the hell was that? They're always tinkering with technology, and they don't really talk in normal sentences. They channel TV shows and quotes from TV shows. So they're always talking as if it's a TV broadcast or a TV sitcom. So the Junkions end up stumbling upon the wreckage of this fight, and they rescue the Skuxoid corpses, as well as one of the Cobra soldiers, the one that had the armor that was growing weird things. So they take these bodies back to Junkion and they revive them. And so basically there's 2 Skuxoids that wake up and they start talking about where are we, what's going on, who are we, and it's like, so basically what we're finding out is when Skuxoid gets fought, a piece of him can break off and grow a new Skuxoid, basically. So these 2 Skuxoids are descendants of Skuxoid in terms of regrowing of him. So, and basically they combine all the memories of the original Skuxoid. So it's all very confusing. So the 2 of them are talking about this. And then they're attacked by this one Cobra guy that the Junkions brought back, and he starts fighting them. But the Junkions see this, interrupt, and bring this Cobra fool to heal, and basically bring everything to a truce. So they're all talking about things and whatever, and trying to sort things out, and the Junkions are like, chill, everybody here is cool, everybody's equal, there's no reason to fight. But then all of a sudden this weird android drops from the sky and starts fighting, and basically takes the 2 Skuxoid guys by force and blasts off into his ship and takes off, leaving the Junkions and this Cobra guy going like, what the fuck was that? So then when the 2 Skuxoids are brought onto this ship, this little android takes them to a being that is known as Skuxoid, the Skuxoid Alpha or whatever. So the original Skuxoid, and he's got like a beard and he's wearing this like regal purple cape or whatever. And he's like, you are now entering my army of Skuxoids. So behind him are just Skuxoids as far as the eye can see, this big army. So I thought Skuxoid was out of it after Cobra took him down, but maybe he's gonna play a bigger role, or any kind of role. I thought he was out of the picture. Now it looks like him and his army are gonna play a big role in the wrapping up of this story. So I don't even know what to think now, how many more issues we got, where the story is going, but I can't wait to find out. Next up, as usual, the Ninja Turtles. We got 2 issues, none from the regular ongoing series, both kind of the sub-series. First one, the 4th and final issue of the Turtles of Grayskull sub-series, which was really cool. So basically as it starts off, Ninjor, who is the one causing all the troubles in this time thread that's got it all knotted up, is chasing Renette the Time Traveler through time and trying to track her down. And as this is happening, she's kind of in her head thinking about all the different events that got them to this point, the Turtles' relationship with He-Man and Skeletor and Shredder and Krang in there and everything, and kind of just summarizing everything that's gone on to that point. until finally she arrives in current times, where the Turtles and He-Man are kind of facing off with Skeletor and Shredder and Krang, and she shows up and explains to them the situation. Like, this Ninjor guy who originally goes by the name of Sekoryu or something. I don't know how to say it. And Shredder's like, huh? I know him. He used to train at the dojo, like he was in the Foot Clan, but he was a terrible student. And then Splinter was like, oh yes, I know him. He was a student, blah, blah. So everybody knows him. And basically they're saying like he was just a useless student. He wasn't very good. So it's Ninjor's resentment over his teacher's treatment of him, even though he deserved it, that's causing him to do all this. So eventually Ninjor shows up after Renette has explained all this to everybody, and so they're all in agreement that they have to stop Ninjor, enemies and allies alike. But the other kind of wild card that's out there is that He-Man has been exposed to the purple ooze and suddenly morphs into monster mutant He-Man, who is like the Hulk. He'll just smash anything in his sight. So he starts doing that as Ninjor shows up, and then Ninjor himself transforms himself into some sort of big dragon bat thing. So there's kind of these two battles going on these different fronts. The Turtles and Renette, and I think one of maybe the Sorceress or something like that, are kind of focusing on He-Man, kind of distracting him until the ooze wears off, because it is only temporary and he can shrink back into his normal He-Man form. So they're kind of taking on that fight, whereas Man-at-Arms, Shredder, Krang, Skeletor, they're taking on Ninjor, who is now in this big beast form. And eventually He-Man goes back to his original form. Splinter has been channeling the power of the Sword of Grayskull to gain some knowledge on the situation, and eventually when He-Man comes back to life, he gives He-Man back the sword with this knowledge, and boom, He-Man lays Ninjor to waste, and Ninjor is no longer a problem to them. So afterwards, as the story's wrapping up, Renette kind of lets the Turtles and the He-Man and all his allies kind of have a last little bit of time together, because when she puts the threads back together, she has to basically erase all of these moments of them coming together and being friends and having all these adventures. So it'll be like it never happened again. So, or in the past, they will have no memories of all these events. So she's kind of sad about that, but to be safe, it has to happen. Although at the last page of the issue, it says "The End?" ? And she says, well, it's okay if I leave one little loose thread. So I'm thinking maybe they may go back to the well on the Turtles of Grayskull with that little loose thread. But yeah, like, I'm going to complain about more He-Man and Turtles team-ups, right? Shucks. Next up, issue 25 of the ongoing Saturday Morning Adventures Turtles cartoon. In this one, Master Splinter is off on like a fishing trip to Louisiana or something. So Leonardo's like, guys, we gotta go on patrol tonight. And the other three are like, can you not see that we're watching wrestling? So they're like, go out by yourself. So Leo's like, meh, meh, meh. So he goes out, nothing's really going on. All he does is like get down a little girl's cat from a tree and then saves another person's dog. Like, nothing's really going on. In the meantime, back in the Krang lair, Hob and Krang are still trying to find a way to bring Splinter or Shredder back from his ghostly form to a full-bodied man again. They succeed, except Shredder is stuck in Dimension X and he can't get out. So they've kind of got half the battle done, right? So they realize that the only way to bring him back to Earth is through a dimensional portal, but they don't have one anymore because theirs broke. So they're like, oh, the Turtles have one, but we don't know where the Turtles' lair is. So they come up with a plan to bring Lotus Blossom, a former ally of the Turtles, in to help them do that and locate them and get this portal. So I think Bebop and Rocksteady traveled to Boston, where she's teaching students in her dojo, and basically she fights them off and it's like, yeah, I'm not helping you. But then Hob shows up and takes one of her students hostage. He's like, if you don't help us, the kid gets it. Fair enough, I'll help you. So she travels back to New York. She meets up with Leonardo on the rooftops, and is like, Leonardo, I came all this way just to warn you. Shredder, Krang, Bebop, Rocksteady, Hob, they're all looking to find you guys, find your lair. Excuse me. Because they want your dimensional portal, so I just thought I would come warn you. So it looks like she's actually betrayed Krang and Hob and Shredder, but in reality, she puts a little smoke bomb on Leonardo's shell, and when he gets back to the lair, he's all excited, like saying, "Oh, I met up with Lotus Blossom, we haven't seen her forever, blah, blah, blah." The smoke grenade goes off, knocks all the turtles out. Lotus Blossom walks in and says, "Sorry I had to do this, guys. I had no other choice." And that's where the issue ends. So we'll probably see the that story resolve in the next issue, which will hopefully be in July. So that's all for Turtles. Okay, next up, something a little bit different. I had one of these issues a while back. It was a one-off thing, and I thought it was going to be a series, but it looked like it wasn't. But it's just called the Energon Universe. So this is another #1. It's a 2025 special. So it brings a few different storylines that have been going on in Void Rivals and G.I. Joe and Transformers, kind of all into the same issue. So it starts off with an unidentified Autobot at the time talking about your planet is beautiful. Ours once was too, Cybertron, but it's been ravaged by war, blah, blah, blah. I was asleep for centuries, but a signal, I don't know from where, awoke me, and it shows him kind of coming from under the earth where he was trapped or whatever, and emerging, and it's Hound, one of my favorite, arguably my favorite Transformer. Him and Wheeljack are my two favorites. I love Hound. He's the Green Army Jeep, and he's like a scout and whatever. He's got a great personality, great sense of humor. He's fucking awesome. So he drags himself out and is like, "Where am I? What is this? Blah, blah, blah." And then he comes into contact with the G.I. Joe member, Clutch. Now, if you remember Clutch, in one of the subset G.I. Joe issues, he ended up during a skirmish, the Joes were trying to protect some technology. I think it was maybe Transformer technology, and Cobra attacked them, or the Decepticons attacked them. I can't remember. And I think Rock and Roll died. Other people got injured, like Duke and stuff. And then Clutch went missing, presumed dead. But he actually infiltrated the Cobra's ship and got away and listened to Destro and Cobra Commander talking and stole one of their Energon rifles, right? So Hound sees Clutch with this Energon rifle and is like, "Energon, where did you get that?" And Clutch, obviously seeing this giant Transformer after witnessing Starscream, or hearing tales of Starscream killing Duke's friend and pilot and the other Sky Striker to kick all this storyline off all those months ago, is of course mistrustful of this giant robotic being at first. And they have a bit of a skirmish before Hound is like, "I'm not trying to hurt you, like I just want to talk to you." And Clutch is like, "What?" So they kind of come to a peaceful end to this little skirmish, but Hound is in rough shape, so Clutch is like, "Okay, we got to get you somewhere. I know just the place. I can't take you back to the G.I. Joe pit because things won't go well for you there, obviously, but I know a guy." And this is really cool. He drags him to this shed silo thing out in the middle of the desert, it looks like, and he's like, "Matt, are you around?" And Matt's like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, Clutch, what's going on?" And it's Matt Tracker. If you don't know Matt Tracker, we're going to a whole different franchise here. Mask, Mobile Armored Strike Command, one of the other most glorious cartoons from the 1980s. If I have my toy unboxing playlist, if you look back in there, you'll find one video about a big rig called the Rhino, which if you don't know Mask, look it up. It's a really neat cartoon from the 80s. One of the best after the big two in Transformers and G.I. Joe. Probably doesn't get enough representation just because being overshadowed by those two big ones, but fucking awesome. So they brought Mask into this issue, just however briefly. So Matt ends up fixing Hound for Clutch, but soon enough they are infiltrated by Ravage, the Decepticon, one of Soundwave's tapes, and Hound is fixed just in time to repel this attack and kick Ravage's ass and go, "Well, boys, it's time we got out of here because there'll be more of them soon." And that's kind of how that part of the issue ends. There's a brief 2-page thing which touches back on, remember Cobra Commander went into the swamps where the Dreadnoks lived and took all that energon and fucked the Dreadnoks around? Again, many months ago in those G.I. Joe issues, which I don't think they're putting those issues. I thought that series was over, but it's not. So I think I'm missing like the last 3, 4, 5 of them. So I'm going to have to go on a hunt for them, unfortunately, but you got to do what you got to do. So we see some Cobra troops outside the wreckage of their vehicle in the swampy area, and you can see somebody talking off panel to them like, "Who are you?" "Oh, we're from Cobra." "Oh, you work for Destro?" "No, we used to before this new guy showed up." And he's like, "Oh, guy with a shiny faceplate?" "Yeah, Cobra Commander." And he's like, well, that's too bad for you, because now this is war, and it's Buzzer. No. Ripper. No, it's Buzzer. Buzzer's standing above the guy with the chainsaw. So the Dreadnoks are pissed, and they're out for Cobra Commander's blood. And then the last part of this issue, it originally takes place on Cybertron years and years ago. Jazz, Cliffjumper, RC, Blue Streak, and Blur are all playing in a Cybertronian band together, creating all this music. Jazz gets kicked out because he's, Jazz is Jazz, and he's all over the place. He can't keep time and just stay the course during a song, so they kick him out. And, when Optimus asks him what's wrong, he's like, "Yeah, I got kicked out because I can't, conform. But listen to this. I hear this weird signal. I don't know where it's coming from." And then eons later, when the Autobots and Decepticons are finally on Earth, Jazz and Optimus are out on the road driving through a city, and Jazz is like, "Oh, I'm picking up that same signal. Remember that one from back on Cybertron?" And Optimus is like, "Jazz, slow your roll. Like, the Decepticons are tracking our movements. Like, don't give up our location, whatever." And Jazz peels off, and he pulls up outside of a jazz club, and he's looking in the window going, "Oh, I'm home, baby." So the signal was some of that erratic jazz that he picked up that he just had to go and witness, right? So I really like this issue because it kind of, all the different storylines that have come and gone through the past issues amongst all these various series are kind of brought into it. And I like it when things are linked and it fills in the blanks and stuff like that. Oh, and sorry, there was one last story at the end of it. It was the Quintessons. So on Quintessa, or on their ship, wherever they do this, the pit with all the Sharkticons in it, where they pass judgment on bots and then throw them in, inevitably always throw them in. A bunch of the subjects that are supposed to be being judged are kind of in the room, like looking around, like, where are all the Quintessons? Like, he's like, "Don't worry about it. Just count yourselves lucky. They bought us some time here." And it turns out the Quintessons are all gathered in their meeting room because Zerda-Trion, who Salila had just reactivated, they got wind of this happening, and so they're like, ooh, Goliant. So they're pumped about the return of Goliant because I think they want to manipulate Goliant and use him for their own purposes. So at that point, a Quintesson lackey comes in and says, "The prisoners, they're all escaping." And they say, we'll catch them again if we need to. Just sick the Sharkticons on them. So the Sharkticons are giving these prisoners chase, and it's Wheelie, the Autobot, who's leading their escape. And he's like, "If you want to survive, follow Wheelie and trust in me, whatever." And the Quintessons are talking about visiting the rings and Goliant and stuff like that. And basically at the end, it's like, it's war sort of thing. So the Quintessons have sensed an opportunity here, and they don't have good intentions at all. So, and it said, "See the Quintesson War start in Void Rivals issue number 25. So this thing's going on longer than I thought it was going to be. So I can't wait to see, how all the stories twist and turn as we forge ahead with many more stories, apparently. Can't wait. Just one lonely issue of Transformers, as has been the case recently. Wish they'd get more sub-series going on, but all I can do is hope. Issue number 20, I think. 20. Really cool issue. A few different fronts within it. So it starts off with Astro Train dropping in on Megatron and his forces, Soundwave and everything, in Seattle after the Autobots pulled out of that skirmish they were in with the Decepticons, with the two combiner teams tearing each other apart. Astro Train's got a vendetta against Megatron for past transgressions, so he starts taking a fight to Megatron. Eventually, Megatron handles him, and it looks like Astro Train is defeated, and so Astro Train's like, yeah, just finish me, whatever. And he's like, no, I still got use for you, Astro Train. That's not good. Not good at all. Then it shifts to a facility where we see two soldiers talking about all the events, crazy events that are going on right now with the Transformers and everything. And the generic soldier is talking to this other guy and being like, oh, what do you think? Oh, God, this is crazy. Like, I'm scared. And the other soldier, who I recognize as Doc, I have his G.I. Joe classified figure downstairs. He's like the medic. Basically talks to this guy kind of ominously. And then the last panel of this sequence shows Ultra Magnus. We know he got captured by human military forces last issue. So Doc and this other guy are in this facility where Ultra Magnus is being stored, and he looks like he's unconscious in some sort of containment unit, and looks like they got stuff attached to him, so they're probably studying him or whatever, right? Then the scene shifts to the Autobots. They're at the Ark. Optimus Prime is kind of outside the Ark, kind of looking thoughtful. Spike comes out to see him. He's like, "Oh, you all right?" Like, yeah, I'm upset too. Like, and Optimus is like, "Yeah, because of Carly." He's like, "Yeah, being kidnapped by the Decepticons and whatever." And so the two of them have kind of a heart-to-heart, and Prime relays his doubts about how he's having all these weird visions and these violent outbursts like he used to do when he was in the middle of the war back on Cybertron. And so he's a little unsure, but they have a good heart-to-heart and whatever. And then all of a sudden, Beachcomber comes flying by with having recovered Jetfire and Silverbolt, a couple of Jet Autobots that they're adding to the forces. So everybody's happy to see them. And then when they go inside the Ark, we realize that all the other aerial bots are there. So Slingshot, Fireflight, Air Raid, Skydive are all there, and they're all pumped to see Prime, and everybody's happy that they're kind of being reunited, and they're like, we'll get through this kind of thing. And meanwhile, Skywarp, who is now part of the Autobots' computer mainframe, right, is kind of watching all this. We see him watching in the background, and I don't know if he's just drawn into that because he's part of the background, or if he's watching and maybe thinking of betraying them somehow. So there's something maybe going on there. And so basically they have these new charges, so they will have Superion at their beck and call now that the aerial bots are back. So they'll have a combiner to combat Devastator and Bruticus, so that's good. And basically they're preparing the Ark for war because Prime tells everybody, like, as soon as Megatron is done unifying the two Decepticon factions, he's coming for us, so we got to be ready. And then the end of the issue focuses on Megatron and his next little scheme. So he's bringing his forces to some wreckage in the Pacific Ocean, a beacon of the ancients it's called, where he brings Starscream, and Starscream thinks Megatron's gonna off him, and he's like, no, please don't, Megatron. And then Megatron takes him to this technology and actually restores Starscream to his brand new pristine state. And Starscream's like, oh, thank you, Megatron, thank you, I'm forever grateful, or whatever. And then Megatron's just like, beef. And then he starts beating the Christ out of Starscream, kind of putting him in his place. And then Megatron transforms into his gun because he has this mental hold over Starscream. Starscream's the one who fires Megatron when he's in his gun mode, and Megatron can make him do it. Even if Starscream doesn't want to, he's got this weird mental hold over Starscream that kind of controls him. So he's like, Starscream, pick me up and use me. And that's what you're blasting. And it's Astro Train. So Megatron didn't finish his job early in the issue on Astro Train because he wanted to prove a point to everybody, Starscream included, that you're all my bitches, I'm the leader, y'all better do what I say. So basically at the end of the issue, we just see Starscream blah, 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 reducing Astro Train to molten slag. So although Megatron spared Astro Train at the start of the issue, he finished him, and he finished him good at the end of the issue. Last up, as usual, G.I. Joe, and we got a couple of good issues, both of the regular ongoing series, 316 and 317. So there's basically three fronts that are unfolding uh, across these two issues. So to start off, Spirit is running point at the pit, and he sees an unidentified vehicle approaching the pit and radios into Duke and lets him know. Once this vehicle pulls up, it's Crimson Guardsman 241, Steve 241, something like that. And he's like, you know, we work for Cobra in Springfield, but we're done. We were willing to exchange intel for protection. So they're like, come right in, why don't you? So that's when a plan is hatched. When Scarlet and her ninja team show up at the pit, they're like, Duke's like, okay, here's your mission. Snake Eyes, Scarlet, Jinx, Storm Shadow, Dawn, who else? There might be one or two others. You guys are gonna, excuse me, consult with this Cobra guy and his family, and then you're gonna dress up as them, and you're gonna head back to Springfield and pretend to be them. And through doing that, gain all sorts of intel that we wouldn't otherwise be able to access. So that's the first front. The second front, Dr. Mindbender. He travels to Baton Rouge to Revanch's headquarters and is like, I want to speak to Alpha 001, the leader of the cyborg Revanch weirdos. He's like, I need amnesty and I want to work with you or whatever. And they're like, we don't need you. And he's like, but you can have all my proprietary information on my brainwave scanner. Plus I have an original sealed clone of the Serpentor. And they're like, okay, come on in. Now, Dr. Mindbender is still kind of mutated through the mutant bomb or whatever it was. And so they're like, oh, we'll fix you right up. So Alpha 001 and his forces got to take Mindbender into their care and turn him back into regular Mindbender. But they make some big upgrades in the meantime. And when Dr. Mindbender wakes up and explores the nature of his new abilities, he's like, this is amazing. I'm so powerful now and stuff. And then Alpha 001 is like, also though, you're fully under our control. If you try and go off board, we can zap you sort of thing. So just mind your P's and Q's, Buster, that sort of thing. So Mindbender is kind of displeased about that, but at the same time, he's no longer a mutant and has all these powers, right? The other aspect is Muskrat and Agent Helix and Molto. They, Wild Bill and Lift Ticket dropped them off at base after a mission they just performed, and Stalker comes out and is like, ho, we got another mission for you, don't get too comfortable. And they're like, where are we going? And they're like, back to Cobra Island. So they want them to go back and do some intel on Cobra Island. So I believe the 4-person team is Wetsuit leads it, along with Muskrat, Molto, and Agent Helix. So they set up a perimeter in the jungle across from the Cobra Casino to just observe what's going on there in the aftermath of the battle and everything that went on there. And so they witness the Revanch forces programming all the humans that are leaving the casino that were there on holidays with their kind of sleeper agent programming. And they even witness one of the patrons revert to their mutant state, and so they're eliminated. This person is eliminated. This old lady was blasted by the Revanch forces, and the 4-man Joe team are like, oh god, this is getting serious. So they radio back to headquarters and say, Revanch is sending all of these patrons out into the world as sleeper agents for them. They've got them programmed. And Duke is like, thanks for the info, that's great to know. Get lots of sleep, maintain cover. You're going to be there for a while. This is a very important mission. Good luck. And then, while all this stuff is going on, the main storyline of the Springfield thing, we see our ninja team infiltrate Springfield, get in safely, convince everybody that they are who they say they are, and get set up in this former Crimson Guardsman's house and settle into life. And start blending in with what's going on and start gaining the intel on everything. So we've got a few different irons in the fire here. Again, we're going to see how it all comes together, but whether it's going to be next issue or 10 issues from now, you never know where they're going with all these storylines, how long they're going to play out for, and how they're all going to intersect. But I love it. And I love how they've brought Transformers and G.I. Joe together. We'll mix it in with this new Void Rivals, all the characters from those worlds in Void Rivals, mixing in with a whole new element. And then having so many different series that are utilizing all these characters and these different storylines amongst all these different franchises. It's really neat. It is a bit confusing at times. You're like, okay, yeah, I remember that. I read about that in this series. And so it's almost like you need one of those, when you see like crime shows in the police department, they have the big board with all the suspects and then the little yarn tied to each one. It's like you almost have to do that, have a little board saying, okay, yeah, this happened here, and that's G.I. Joe, that's whatever, because it does get a little overwhelming and confusing at times, but I wouldn't have it any other way, right?
Meow.